Why is this resonating in your spirit so much today, Doc?
Well, we talked about Curtis Mayfield last night. Genius of geniuses. You remember Curtis went down to Howard University and in many ways discovered Donny Hathaway and Leroy Hudson. They both wrote together later on. And a Roberta Flack as well, who had already been out there. Makes him part of the Mayfield Singers and then brings him to Chicago as part of Curtis Mayfield's trying to create his own independent black label to make sure black musicians not exploited. What is so important about the genius of Donny Hathaway? Anytime we talk about politics, we got to begin with the highest levels of commitments to truth and love, and that's what black music is. It's the truth, and it's centered in a love. And when we talk about politicians and leaders, if they can't meet the standard of the truth and the love in the music, then we got to bring critique to bear, my brother. So Donny Hathaway and Curtis Mayfield, Anna Reese and the others, they set the standard. Stevie Wonder, Teddy Pendergrass, Mahalia Jackson, Sarah Vaughan, they set the standards, my brother.
Turn it up, Miles. Turn it up.
Someday,
oh, Lord.
Yeah. Take it from me, someday we'll all be free. It won't be long. Take it from me, someday we'll all be free. Take it from me.
Ain't nobody like him, Donny Hathaway.
Oh, no. Nobody like him.
It's a perfect segue. I was going to start with Kamala and redistricting and some of the stuff we discussed in the first hour. I will pivot to that a little bit later in our conversation, but that song is a perfect segue into the changing map of Palestinian recognition. In the past week alone, 3 new countries have said that they are ready to bestow recognition on a Palestinian state. Miles, you got that clip of the Prime Minister from Canada for me? So we talked the other day about France. Dr. West and I did, and right behind France came the UK. The UK is a little skittish in what they're saying, that they will recognize a Palestinian state if, in fact, there is no ceasefire. So theirs is kind of tepid, but the UK nonetheless comes behind France. And yesterday, Canada stepped out. But what's fascinating is that this action suggests that the movement yesterday suggests that more countries are going to be lining up in the days ahead, acknowledging Palestinian statehood. But here's what the Prime Minister of Canada had to say yesterday.
The level of human suffering in Gaza is intolerable. Canada has long been committed to a 2-state solution, an independent, viable, and sovereign Palestinian state living side by side with the state of Israel in peace and security. For decades, it was hoped that this outcome would be achieved as part of a peace process built around a negotiated settlement between the Israeli government and the Palestinian Authority. Regrettably, this approach is no longer tenable. Canada intends to recognize the state of Palestine at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September 2025. This intention is predicated on the Palestinian Authority's commitment to much-needed reforms, including commitments by the Palestinian Authority's President Abbas to fundamentally reform its governance, to hold general elections in 2026 in which Hamas can play no part, and to demilitarize the Palestinian state. Canada will increase its efforts in supporting strong democratic governance in Palestine and the contributions of its people to a more peaceful and hopeful future.
That was the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney announcing yesterday Canada's intent to recognize Palestinian statehood. Most countries, in case you don't know this, most countries in the United Nations, 147 out of 193, already recognize a Palestinian state, which is interesting given the discourse. You wouldn't necessarily consider that or think that, given the way we talk about this crisis in the Middle East. But 147 out of 193 countries already recognize a Palestinian state. And then, as I said, in just the course of 1 week, 3 more countries, all major U.S. allies, have said they will join their ranks again. France, the UK, and Canada when we come forward. I'll cut Doc loose for the rest of the half hour. You're listening to Cornel West and Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking.
That's what we do around here.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Hey man, hey, what's up, bro? What's that station you listening to? Oh man, you don't know? That's Talk Radio, KBLA, 1580 AM. Check it out. 1580 KBLA AM. 1580 Talk Radio. Progressive.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're celebrating our 4th anniversary, and this track right here is the gift one of our devoted listeners presented to us.
Where you get some information, get a true education, just to know. Ooh, yeah. 1580.
How cool is that? Having a member of our KBLA delegation write us a song. Stop it! Our listeners love us and there ain't nothing we can do about it. Wouldn't want to. Thanks to Cardell and everybody else for turning on KBLA Talk 1580. We love you right black.
KBLA 1580 Talk Radio. Get it like me. Ooh, KBLA. Oh, Talk Radio. Progressive. KBLA.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we aim to foster enlightening, sustainable, restorative dialogue, and we welcome unapologetically progressive viewpoints that empower fellow citizens. We are now accepting submissions for KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorials like this one.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley show conversation with James Farr. James said something that caught me off guard. Black Altadena is gone. My community is being murdered. I said murdered.
All you have to do is go to our website homepage at KBLA1580.com and click on the icon that says KBLA Guest Editorials to learn more about our editorial standards and content submission guidelines. As long as the topic aligns with our mission, we are happy to review your submission and consider it for broadcast. We can't make any promises, but we want to amplify progressive perspectives that are community-focused and solution-oriented. So, go to KBLA1580.com right now to download all the information you need about our guest editorials. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Cornel West. 2 more quick pieces of data, and then I will pass the mic to Dr. Cornel West for the rest of this conversation. As we talk about the changing map of Palestinian recognition, I mentioned France, the UK, and Canada. We played a clip of Prime Minister Mark Carney of Canada yesterday saying that they are now going to recognize Palestinian statehood. This is important because these are all major U.S. allies. Underline that. Major U.S. allies coming out and saying this, never mind the way that we're showing up. So one, New Zealand and Australia seem to be on tap in the coming days. There are more countries that are about to come out and to recognize Palestinian statehood. And a new poll has found that about half of U.S. adults now have an unfavorable view of Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a Gallup poll. The new poll finds that about 6 in 10 U.S. adults disapprove the military action Israel has taken in Gaza, up from 45% in November of 2023. And then this last piece, for the first time ever, a majority of Democratic senators senators joined Bernie Sanders, 27 as I recall, on the record saying we need to stop funding this war and giving Israel access to all these weapons and all this cash. 27 Democratic senators with Bernie Sanders. That's never happened before. So there is not just a changing map of Palestinian recognition. The map is changing in this country, Doc, as to how we see this politically. I'm done. It's all yours. Run with it.
Well, I mean, one thing to keep in mind, my dear brother, is that the key is to stop the genocide and to stop the ethnic cleansing. Already nearly 20-some thousand precious children dead, over 60,000 dead, and once the press is able to actually go in and see, it's going to be thousands and thousands more. So that the acknowledgement of a Palestinian state in no way stops the genocide, in no way stops the ethnic cleansing, in no way starts the apartheid state. It's almost like trying to pass a lynching bill after millions of thousands of black people getting lynched, and there's no way to enforce it. Mm-hmm. There's no mechanisms that would execute it. And we've seen a whole lot of words, heard a lot of words, and seen a lot of words on paper, but when it comes to the actual follow through, there's very little there. So that with Canada and company, it's too little, too late. It's a nice thing to begin to isolate a country that has been engaged in this kind of genocide. We know that, and we have to isolate it without having anti-Jewish hatred, but we have pro-Palestinian love. That's the crucial thing. Palestinians have been left out completely. That's why Kamala Harris didn't have a Palestinian voice on the stage for the Democratic National Convention, even when that Palestinian was an elected official and supported her. They still didn't have her on the stage. They didn't have Brother Barber on the stage.
That's right.
But you can have Lynn Cheney on the stage and other Republicans on the stage. What does that say? Not just about the Democratic Party, not just about the Republican Party. It's just something about a spiritually sick, morally decrepit society that really doesn't care about poor people, really doesn't care about black working people, has some care about black middle class folk, but will push them in the corner in a second as well. And they certainly don't care about Palestinians. They send that message. We really don't care. These people don't count. These people don't matter. Thank God that Brother Chris Smalls, I've been praying for that brother. You know, he was released. He's on his way back to the United States. He was on the boat. He got captured. He was beaten and mistreated and so forth. But he's standing up in the legacy of Martin King and in the legacy of Donny Hathaway.
Yeah.
And to have folk that don't care and disrespect the legacy of King and Donny Hathaway, we got to come out swinging, man. That's who we are at our best.
Absolutely, no question about it. You put your finger on the primary point that all these countries coming out and acknowledging Palestinian statehood says nothing and does nothing necessarily to stop the genocide that's taking place. Leave it to Dr. West to put his finger right on the issue, and let's not lose sight of that, number one. But it seems to me that there is a way in which, while it's taking longer than it should, and 60,000 deaths, 20,000 precious babies, that's not defensible. One can't even wrap your brain around what it means to have 60,000 people dead, many of them precious babies in a region, in an area this small. And apartheid is the right word. You recall Jimmy Carter got in trouble years ago for calling it apartheid, but he was right then, and Dr. West is right now. But when you think about what's happening, it seems to me there is a way, Doc, if this continues, and it will, with New Zealand, Australia, and other countries coming out, again, major U.S. allies, it does, in fact, put more pressure on the U.S. government to show up differently, even on Donald Trump. You got countries standing up. You've got 27 Democrats in the Senate saying we got to stop funding this war. It seems to me that slowly the pressure is building for us to change our policy toward Israel. Now, I don't want to be pipe dreaming here, but it seems to me that there is a way for that pressure to build. Am I overthinking it? Am I overreading it?
No, you make a strong point. And Donny Hathaway was singing those freedom dreams that our dear brother Robin Kelly has taught us about. We have to keep the pressure on, no matter how desperate the situation is. But you also got to keep in mind, even when they come out for the two-state solution, brother, it's nothing but rubble there now anyway.
Right.
What is the Palestinian state going to look like with all the rubble and still basically under the control of the state of Israel. Demilitarized. They're going to control the sky. They're going to control the border. That's not an independent nation. There's no sovereignty in that at all. That's a Bantustan. We saw the same thing in South Africa when they told Mandela, we got a nation for you. We have a country for you. What does it look like? Rubble. So that what is a two-state solution at this point? 40 years ago, when Edward Said and myself and Noam Chomsky and Stanley Aronowitz and others were out there in the street calling for a two-state, there was a real viable possibility of a two-state. With the expansion of the Israeli state, with the settlers now seizing land, sometimes violently against Palestinians right now in the West Bank, what's left for a Palestinian state? Very little there. So what are we really talking about? Your point is a good one. The pressure is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
The pressure is real. But these cowards in the Democratic and Republican Party and in Congress, though, brother, good God Almighty, it's a sad, sad thing to see them moving after almost 2 years.
At a snail's pace. Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, yeah. My God.
No, it seems to me that the story about the starvation, though, has started to turn a little bit. Again, we shouldn't be in this space to begin with. You and I both agree on that. But again, because the pressure has been brought to bear, it seems as if the starvation issue is starting to be addressed at some level. Would you disagree with that?
Oh, no, I think you're right about that. But that's primarily because the mainstream media has been able to get cameras in. Yeah. Israel has not allowed CNN, has not allowed MSNBC. And CNN and MSNBC have not been eager to try to break their necks to get in anyway.
That's true.
But then they pushed out Al Jazeera.
Yeah.
So nobody had access to the information to see exactly what's going on. So the lies hiding the crimes can go on and on and on. And what we have to keep in mind, though, brother, is no matter what the political situation, no matter what all the policies are, we bear witness to truth. And the condition of truth is to allow the suffering to speak of everybody. Everybody. Yeah. And we have a love for everybody, and we speak our minds, and we put our bodies where our words are, like Brother Chris Smalls has done so magnificently, my brother.
Since you went there, let me follow you. It is one thing to indict the politicians in Washington, to indict the folk inside the White House presently and past, Joe Biden included. Another thing to indict Bibi Netanyahu. But you raised this issue that nobody really talks about: the complicity of the mainstream corporate media in this regard. One could argue there's blood on their hands as well. Could we not?
Oh, you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
Peter Biner said it very, very well. But it goes beyond that, though, brother. It has to do something with we ourselves as the people, American people. That's our tax money facilitating the killing of those kids, facilitating the genocide. And the politicians deny it. And you're right. That's true for Trump, gangster. That's true for Biden, lying. That was true for Harris. It was across the board. And the American people also, in our churches, in our mosques, in our synagogues, in our sports activities. Our voices were not as strong as they should have, even though the younger generation were very strong. And what happened when they raised their voices on college campuses? They were repressed.
Mm-hmm.
They were demonized.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like the students in the 1960s. What you raising your voice against apartheid and white supremacy? You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You ought to go to the library and learn your lessons. Oh, we go to the library and we read about the truth and we want to bear witness to the truth. And we hate apartheid. We hate white supremacy. We hate anti-Jewish hatred, anti-Palestinian hatred. We hate any form of hatred, and we're willing to organize against it. And that includes, of course, the very roles we want to get into, the roles of empire and capitalism and organized greed and the ways in which media is too accommodated to that. Thank God. Well, 1580 KBLA, Brother Tavis, and all the others having the courage to say, you know what? In a spirit of humility, we want to tell the truth, and we want to be forces for love and forces for good in a very bleak moment.
Yeah. Beyond Tavis, and I appreciate that. I've made this point many, many times. This is why the black media and independent media are more important now than ever before. There's certain questions that don't get asked if we don't ask them, certain issues that don't get raised if we don't raise them, certain truths that don't get told if we don't tell them, certain people doing great work who don't get profiled if we don't profile them. And so now in this space of corporate media, just punting too often and being complicit too often, independent media, black-owned media, I think more important and more necessary and more relevant now than ever before. I'll get off my soapbox, but I want to just opine on that since Doc went there. We mentioned Kamala Harris' name a couple of times here. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I ain't got a lot of time left anyway. But what were your initial thoughts or reactions? You, of course, ran for president as independent this last time around. Connie and I discussed in the first hour, as you might have heard, we knew that Kamala couldn't run for governor and president at the same time, so she opted out of governor, I think, leaving the door open for perhaps another run. But what did you make of her announcement yesterday, if anything at all?
Well, I noticed that she used the terms new methods and fresh thinking.
Mm-hmm.
New methods and fresh thinking. Now, of course, part of my critique when I ran against her and against Trump was I don't hear you all saying a mumbling word about precious poor people of all colors.
Mm-hmm.
You're not saying a mumbling word about mass incarceration. You talk about how great the economy is. You're not saying a mumbling word about the inequality and the homeless and unhoused people. You talk about human rights, but you see the violation of human rights in Gaza with genocide, and you can't say a mumbling word. And I can go on and on.
Mm-hmm.
If she moves in that direction, it would be interesting. I'm not holding my breath, not at all. Not at. I love Jody Watley, but Jody Watley ain't no Aretha.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you one thing, though, brother. Sister Harris.
Yeah.
I ain't holding my breath. It looks like you're not a Fannie Lou. It looks like you're not part of the legacy of Martin and that deep, and you can't even allow one of the great legatees of Martin Luther King Jr., William Barber, to be on your stage for 3 minutes. What is your attitude toward the greatest legacy of black people? That's why I get very, very upset. But at the same time, she can have a whole wave of folk from the mainstream, from APEC, who help facilitate this denial of genocide, paying the politicians the big money that they have. Look at Cory Booker. You know, I love Brother Cory, too. He wrong as he can be.
Wrong about what, Doc?
Voting just yesterday to make sure they don't cut off any military support of Israel, given the genocide taking place that Brother Bernie Sanders promoting. The same thing that our brilliant sister Connie was talking about in relation to Bernie. You know, Connie's about as brilliant as they come, but I disagree about her. And Sister Harris, I tell you,
yeah.
Lord,
no.
we're gonna have our time to have a rich dialogue at that. But she's just so brilliant on so many other things. So
since you mentioned Barbara, let me close on this note. The 90 seconds I have left. I was not stunned. You were not stunned, but it was stunning to hear him say it publicly on radio, quoting Pete Buttigieg, who said at this gathering at Barbara's Church in North Carolina that the consultants tell the Democratic establishment, the elite, the candidates, not to utter the word poor. What is that, man? What is that?
Well, I understand why the Democratic Party spent over $20-some million to keep me off the ballot, because I was saying the same thing, and they called me a liar.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, Lord have mercy. They called me a liar. That's like saying James Cleveland can't sing. He might not sound like Pat Broom, but he sounds good to me. I'm sorry. You got to say what's in your heart and in your soul, even when they call you a liar. Why? Because you're trying to be tied to the truth and trying to allow the love inside of you to be manifest, especially for the least of these, especially for poor brothers and sisters, working brothers and sisters, those who are being demonized, be they immigrants, be they Palestinians, be they Jews in Pittsburgh,
be
they Dalits in India, be they Muslims in China, be they landless peasants in Brazil. That's what has shaped you and I and the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., brother.
This ain't no bold statement or pronouncement, but Democrats ain't got a snowball's chance in Hades if they think they can go from here forward without acknowledging the poor, without acknowledging impacted people. You can't run any kind of economic populist agenda that is going to resonate with voters in this America if you think that you can go into the future without acknowledging the millions of poor people. And Barbara was right. If you could organize them, you could get back in the game. Democrats in trouble. And just to hear him acknowledge that they are told by consultants not to use the word poor. Don't talk about poverty. Don't talk about impact to people. That is the most nonsense I've ever heard. Again, not surprised, but I digress for now. Dr. Cornel West is on this program every Monday and Thursday at the top of the second hour, and we are blessed to have him. Doc, I love you. There ain't nothing you can do about it.
Love you, though, brother. Love you. Stay strong. And my prayers are with Miss Smiley, though, brother.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, man.
That's in the family, though, brother. Love you, though, man.
All right, stay strong. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Texas lawmakers are in Kerrville investigating the deadly Hill County floods. Senator Jose Menendez is raising concerns over missing emergency sirens and tax cuts that replaced flood system upgrades.
They had some really cheap Chinese radios that they were talking to each other on. We're better than that. We can do better than that, and we need to.
At least 108 people died in Kerr County on July 4th. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is urging the MTA to reject proposed fare hikes, calling them unfair without service improvements. The plan would raise subway and bus fares to $3 starting in January. Public hearings are set before the MTA board votes. And Rob 49 is announcing his first ever headlining tour. The New Orleans native will embark on the Let Me Fly tour this fall. The 17-city run begins in Fort Lauderdale in October and will wrap up in Houston on November 25th. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Emergencies can happen at any time. That's why building an emergency kit and having a plan is so important. Southern California Edison stays ready for the unexpected, and they encourage you to be prepared too. For more information and to update your outage alerts, visit SCE.com/be prepared.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers lost at Cincinnati 5-2. Their lead in the NL West is down to 3 games over San Diego. The Padres have won 5 straight. The Angels' 3-game winning streak was snapped with a 6-3 loss at home to Texas. The highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL plays for the Chargers. Left tackle Rashawn Slater signed a 4-year extension worth $114 million. $92 million is guaranteed. Slater, entering his 5th season with the Chargers, will average $28.5 million with his new deal. The HBCU Legacy Bowl, an all-star game for HBCU football players, got a major financial boost from the John Madden Foundation. The foundation, named in honor of the legendary NFL broadcaster, agreed to cover all expenses for the Legacy Bowl Career Fair, which attracts more than 800 HBCU students from around the country. The Legacy Bowl is scheduled for February 21st in New Orleans. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, man. Hey, what's up, What's that station you listening to? Oh, man, you don't know? That's Talk Radio. KBLA 1580 AM. Check it out. 1580 KBLA AM. 1580 Talk Radio. Progressive.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're celebrating our 4th anniversary, and this track right here is the gift one of our devoted listeners presented to us.
Where you get some information, get a true education, just to know who, yeah.
How cool is that? Having a member of our KBLA delegation write us a song. Stop it! Our listeners love us, and there ain't nothing we can do about it. Wouldn't want to. Thanks to Cardell and everybody else for turning on KBLA Talk 1580. We love you right black.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, everyone. My name is Raquel Graham, and I have a big announcement to make. I have my own radio show. It debuts on KBLA 1580 on August 2nd, and it is called Entrepreneuring. I'm an inventor, a Shark Tank winner, entrepreneur for over a decade, and a proud mom of two. I created this show because I know firsthand that entrepreneurship doesn't have just one look. Entrepreneuring celebrates what building a business really looks like. Big, medium, small, and micro. Some of us are running multi-million-dollar operations. Some of us are braiding hair in our kitchens. We're bakers, grant writers, laundromat owners, event promoters. Mark your calendars. Please tune in August 2nd, KBLA 1580 at 1 p.m. Pacific time. No question is too big or small. Let me know what you'd like for me to cover. See you then.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park,
Los Angeles, California.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
We're pushing ahead, trying to squeeze this 80-pound show into a 40-pound bag today, but we're halfway through. And some amazing conversations already. 3 more great conversations to go. Starting right now with a dialogue with former U.S. Congressman Bobby Rush about the new memorials and walking tour honoring the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, which Bobby Rush co-founded with Fred Hampton. Congressman, good to hear your voice again, sir. How are you?
Tavis, I am so delighted to hear your voice again, and I am just wonderful, my brother. I am blessed and highly favored. And how are you doing?
Man, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. So I am doing well, and I'm again honored to be in conversation with you. It's been too long. Let me cover 2 things right quick before I get to this new memorial and walking tour honoring the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, which again you and Fred Hampton co-founded. 2 things I want to get your take on. I just saw breaking news moments ago that Danny Davis, longtime congressman out of Illinois, out of Chicago, has announced he is stepping down. And he's 83 now. Bobby Rush, of course, already retired from Congress, but Danny Davis, another great black congressman from the Chicago area, announces his retirement. And I want to just get your take on that, number one. And then secondly, speaking of congressmen, my colleague at my home station here in L.A., KBLA Talk 1580, this program is syndicated, heard all across the country, including right now on WVON in Chicago. But at my home station, Jesse Jackson Jr., former congressman for the 2nd District in Illinois, hosts a show on this station every day. As a matter of fact, he comes on right after me in about 90 minutes. You'll hear the voice of Jesse Jackson Jr. But there's a new poll out. I saw it in Politico yesterday that suggests that if Jesse Jackson Jr. decides to run for Congress again for the same seat that he had, the 2nd District, he's the front runner by far. He's way out front right now. And so there's a draft effort to get Jesse Jackson Jr. to run for Congress once again. He served there 17 years. Again, he's a colleague of mine right now on talk radio, but this poll was fascinating for all of us who love Jesse to see that he would be the front runner by a wide margin were he to get in that race for his old congressional seat, the 2nd District. By the way, this is not the seat that Danny Davis had. They're 2 separate seats, but they're just 2 separate issues here, but involving friends of Bobby Rush. So say a word about Danny Davis and his long tenure doing such great work representing Chicago, and say a word about why I've seen you on the record saying you support Jesse Jackson Jr. running again. Take both of those issues first, and then we'll go to the Black Panther story.
Well, thank you, my brother, for this opportunity. Danny Davis is just a remarkable individual, a stellar legislator, a committed crusader for human rights and justice. I've known Danny and served with Danny for the last 40 years or more. Danny is a superb individual, come from a wonderful family, and has done such a marvelous work in all of his public career. I served with him in the Chicago City Council, and I served with him in Congress. And he is a man of his word. When he says what he means, and he means what he says. I tell you, there's been a turnaround in the Illinois delegation, and Danny's decided today, which he had informed me about 3 weeks ago. He told me he was going to announce today, so I had prior knowledge of his announcement. But it leaves, it's going to leave an opening. It's going to leave some unprotected territory. But I think that his replacement, LaShawn Ford, is capable of at least being an answer to the question of what happens to the people of the 2nd Congressional District. Sean Ford is an outstanding legislator. He's been a remarkable member of the Illinois General Assembly, and he's been conditioned and trained by Danny Davis to take his place. Now, in relation to Jesse Jackson Jr., I've known Jesse Jr. And also Jonathan since they were toddlers, crawling around on the rug in their parents' living room. Jesse Jackson Jr. is, and when he was in Congress, he had a stellar career. He authored many outstanding and legislative pursuits and laws bills that were passed into laws, including creation of the name of the House, the new addition to the House of Representatives. He named that Emancipation Hall to his legislation. Tavis brought the idea. I told Jesse in a meeting that we had at lunch, I said, Jesse, you need to run for re-election.
Yeah.
And he thought about it, and now we are well in that process. I am leading his exploratory committee, and he's got a number of individuals on his exploratory. But I'm leading that effort, and because I'm believing in what he can do, I'm believing what he has. The people on the second, and then frankly,
yeah, I'm losing.
They were served by just.
Yeah, I'm losing audio on Congressman Rush. I would let's see if we can try that again, Miles. While I check his audio right quick and see if we can hear him again. What Bobby Rush was talking about, of course, was his being the head of the exploratory committee. So he is not just supporting Jesse Jackson Jr. in running again for that 2nd congressional district in Illinois. And what a story that would be. I'm not a fan of these phrases, like the comeback kid. But we all know the story of Jesse Jackson Jr. He's been so public and so open and so transparent about his own journey, but he served so honorably and so beautifully for those 17 years. I'm honored to be his colleague, of course, here in radio. But that'd be quite a story, man, to have served for 17 years, step aside for over a decade, come back, run and win again. But again, this new poll that you can read about in Politico, read it for yourself. There are a number of people who are in that race or thinking about getting in that race, but by far, if Jesse Jackson Jr. does in fact announce, and he has said nothing publicly, and so I'm not going to ask him about it because I know he ain't ready to say nothing yet, but there is an exploratory committee that Bobby Rush is chairing to try to convince Jesse Jackson Jr. to go back to Congress, and we'd all be the better for that, particularly in this moment of this grim American moment, this Trump era 2.0. We'd be blessed to have a voice like Jesse Jackson Jr., I think, back in Congress. So Bobby Rush is the chair of that exploratory committee. We're going to try to get this audio straightened out when we come forward. I want to spend just a few more minutes with Bobby Rush talking about this new memorial and walking tour honoring the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, which he co-founded with Fred Hampton. Just a few more minutes on that, and we will let Congressman Rush get back to his other business. You're listening to Tavis Smile.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Yeah.
At KBLA KBLA Talk 1580. We're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. And I thank you, thank you.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hi, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., inviting you to join me weekdays at 12 noon, right after Tavis Smiley, here on KBLA Talk 1580. As a law school graduate and a theologian, with a firm grasp of our body politic given almost 2 decades in Congress, my show is the fresh new home of an authentic, uncompromised quest for transformation and salvation, both personal and collectively, as I vigorously interrogate the theological and symbolic meanings embedded in our society. I promise to leverage my knowledge of history, theology, and both international and domestic issues to imagine an inclusive vision for the future, which I hope will inspire all of us to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as a given, not just an aspiration. So join me weekdays at 12 noon right after Tavis Smiley for 2 hours of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
I got 3 minutes here or so to talk to Congressman Rush about this new memorial and walking tour honoring the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, which he co-founded with Fred Hampton. Say a quick word, Congressman, about this new memorial and this walking tour.
Well, we're trying to bring the past, the snapshot of the past into the present moment. And so we're led by one of the individuals who were a child who was born into the Panther Party, Layla Wills. She has grown to be an extraordinary researcher and documentarian. And so she's taking the lead to create the Historical Society of the Illinois chapter. So she's, with the assistance of many others, she's been able to come up with 13 plaques that we're going to place on the sidewalk in places in Chicago and also in Illinois that had tremendous meaning to us as we were living lives as members of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. So we're honored Fred and all the other rank and file who those who got up at 5 a.m. in the morning to feed and cook the breakfast for the Breakfast for Children program, those who volunteered at our free medical clinics, and those who gave life and energy and who made tremendous dedication to move our nation forward and our people forward. So we're these plaques and this journey down the past it certainly will leading us into future endeavors. And that's what this is all about. The past is a prologue to the future, and I'm just so delighted that we have some people who were babies born into the Panther Party who've taken up that legacy to honor that past and to lead us into the future.
This is a great opportunity, Congressman, for me to say thank you, a big thank you on behalf of all of us for all the years, not just on the Chicago City Council, but certainly in Congress when the nation came to know more about your backstory and your work and witness. So thank you for all your years of serving us so honorably in the United States Congress. As I mentioned earlier, for those who may have just tuned in, Danny Davis, longtime Congressman of Chicago, has announced he is stepping down, but Jesse Jackson Jr. may be returning to Congress in the not-so-distant future. But I thank you, sir, for all your work and witness, even as part of the Black Panthers. And we celebrate you and Fred Hampton and all those who were doing such righteous work at that breakfast program and so much other great work the Panthers did in Chicago and beyond. So thank you for your work and witness all these years long. And you stay in our prayers. Stay strong. Good to have you on the program, Congressman.
Yes, sir, my brother. All power to the people.
There you go. All power to the people. When we come forward, we'll have a brief conversation with Dr. Nee Quarterly-Corte. He is an author of a book about Kamala Harris. We'll get his quick take, having written about her big announcement yesterday. And then on our final hour today, we will talk to the former head of the Urban League, John E. Jacob, and the current head of the Urban League, Mark Moore. Y'all going to be a great final hour. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project.
Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT. Because nothing fights sweat better. Stay fresher under pressure.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada. Member FDIC.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in.
But we're okay with that.
You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed. A brief conversation right now for 5 minutes with, I mentioned my colleague Jesse Jackson Jr. earlier, in this new political data that's data would suggest, a story in political, I should say, with data that suggests that Jesse Jackson is clearly the front runner if he decides to run for Congress again in the 2nd Congressional District in Illinois. So he could be going back to Congress. But right now, he's our colleague, and his program comes after mine here in Los Angeles, even as this program, of course, is syndicated across the country. But I have another colleague here in L.A. who has his own show called A More Perfect Union. He also happens to be, you hear him often on my show as our White House correspondent. But he also wrote a book about Kamala called Kamala, The Motherland and Me, a best-selling book, I might add. Once again, it's called Kamala, The Motherland and Me, a captivating memoir of self-discovery and political revelation. He spent time on a trip with Kamala Harris when she went to Africa. So it's a powerful book. I highly recommend it. Once again, Kamala, The Motherland and Me, by my colleague, Dr. Nee Corte. In the 4.5 minutes I have left, what was your reaction to the announcement yesterday that she wasn't running for governor, leaving the door open for running for president? Were you at all surprised?
I wasn't surprised, as I'm sure a number of your listeners were not surprised. Listen, I think Vice President Harris has had a pretty momentous rollout. She makes the big announcement about her decision to not run for governor of California, and then the very next day announces that her new book, 107 Days, will be published by Simon & Schuster on September 23rd. Part of what caught my attention, Simon & Schuster CEO Jonathan Karp, he put out a statement about the book, and he said that Harris addresses, quote, everything we would want to hear her address, referring to thoughts on questions about President Biden's fitness for office. I thought that was particularly noteworthy, especially given that Simon & Schuster, they also published Secretary Clinton's book and Bob Woodward's one of his best-selling books, and so they know something about publishing page-turning accounts with surprising and revealing insights.
Yeah. Nobody knows. I discussed this with Cornel West and with Connie Rice earlier in today's program. None of us has a crystal ball. What's your gut tell you about what her long-term interests are? I'll put it another way, is Kamala Harris done politically, and by politically I mean in terms of running for elective office, or does opting out of running for governor really mean that she is, in fact, as Connie suggested, running a few laps, getting ready for another presidential race? What's your gut tell you, having written a book about Kamala Harris and spending a lot of good time with her?
My gut tells me that she is a lifelong public servant and that she is not finished yet. I don't think she's closed the door to running for president. I think she's going to do the work. I think she's going to listen to the people. I think she might be interested in writing maybe, the most provocative chapter in American political history yet. Look, if Donald Trump can make the biggest political comeback in U.S. political history, then why not Kamala Harris? Of course, it's going to be up to the people. It's going to be up to a very fractured Democratic Party. But she is clearly leaving the door wide open, Tavis.
You call it a fractured Democratic Party. Indeed it is. The next time around, she will not have the benefit of a sitting president handing her the baton and a bunch of money on which she could build a $1 billion jackpot, as it were. Every Democrat I know is thinking about running for president, including the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, Pritzker in Illinois, Beshear in Kentucky. It's going to be a crowded field if she gets in. How does she stand out in a field like that, other than having been the vice president?
Tavis, she's the only one of the names mentioned that has been the Democratic nominee for president. Never mind how she got there. She's been the nominee. There's a muscle memory there that the other folks don't have. And so we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yep. Kamala Harris, as Nee Corte mentioned, announced her new book, 107 Days, coming out here shortly from Simon & Schuster. She also announced that she will return her first real interview since this campaign ended. She's going to be appearing tonight on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Today's Thursday. Yes, that's tonight. So I'm sure you'll have huge ratings tonight to see what she has to say. Following her announcement yesterday, of course, he clearly will press her on what her future plans are and whether she'll run. So I expect big ratings tonight for Stephen Colbert. And given that he's already lost his job going in on Trump, it's going to be fascinating to watch both of them go in on Trump together. So get your popcorn ready for Stephen Colbert tonight. Nicolai Corte is our White House correspondent, host of his own show on my home station, A More Perfect Union, and author of the book Kamala, The Motherland and Me. Nicolai will talk to you, hear you later today. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, Tavis.
When we come forward in our final hour, the former head of the Urban League, John E. Jacob, out with a memoir now called I Will Fear No Evil for the first 30 minutes, and we'll close our show with the current president of the Urban League, Mark Morial, on their State of the Union, State of Black America report for 2025. Two great conversations to wrap today's program when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Texas lawmakers are in Kerrville investigating the deadly Hill County floods. Senator Jose Menendez is raising concerns over missing emergency sirens and tax cuts that replaced flood system upgrades.
They had some really cheap Chinese radios that they were talking to each other on. We're better than that. We can do better than that, and we need to.
At least 108 people died in Kerr County on July 4th. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is urging the MTA to reject proposed fare hikes, calling them unfair without service improvements. The plan would raise subway and bus fares to $3 starting in January. Public hearings are set before the MTA board votes. And Rob 49 is announcing his first ever headlining tour. The New Orleans native will embark on the Let Me Fly tour this fall. The 17-city run begins in Fort Lauderdale in October and will wrap up in Houston on November 25th. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Emergencies can happen at any time. That's why building an emergency kit and having a plan is so important. Southern California Edison stays ready for the unexpected, and they encourage you to be prepared too. For more information and to update your outage alerts, visit SCE.com/be prepared.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers lost at Cincinnati 5-2. Their lead in the NL West is down to 3 games over San Diego. The Padres have won 5 straight. The Angels' 3-game winning streak was snapped with a 6-3 loss at home to Texas. The highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL plays for the Chargers. Left tackle Rashawn Slater signed a 4-year extension worth $114 million.